Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. We're a minute early, but I figured I wanted to do that. We got some great people on here tonight. Of course, Scott Hummer was the first one on. Do me a favor, let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Have I done all the button pushing that I need to tonight correctly? Scott Hummer, Love Son, Patricia Butler, Theoxerus, Butch Graves, and let me see here. Sumi. That's it. So, Little Lone Prepper, good evening and welcome. Good to see you. Cats and Prepping, good evening. Okay, so can you hear me? Can you? All right. So Scott Hummer tells me he can hear me, he can see me. That is fantastic. Well, before we get into the topic tonight, which is another 5 of the questions in this fantastic book, I've really been impressed with everything I've read that Mr. Jones has written. So if you get a chance, if you see James C. Jones as the author of a book, he does everything I've found so far has been nonfiction. Please get a copy of it. It's going to be invaluable for your library. I do want to give you my impression. This is strictly Lee's personal opinion. You're going to see a lot of comments, especially by ABC News, that they're saying that sleeper cells have been, how are they putting it, activated in the United States. And the basis of this is a Farsi language speaking radio station. Good evening, who's your prepping nurse? Glad to see you, welcome. But the theory behind this is there is a Farsi speaking broadcaster who it's a one-way so broadcast is one-way transmission. Nobody is responding, whereas a transmission is somebody responds. Okay, that's the difference in radio terminology. That's the difference. Broadcast, like an AM broadcast station or an FM broadcast station, they play music, but nobody calls in and says, "Hey, I got that." Whereas a transmission, if they were to transmit a message, somebody would call back and say, "Hey, I got the message." So that would be a two-way communication. So broadcast is one-way only, transmission is two-way. So we have a broadcast station speaking Farsi, sending single-digit numeric traffic. Appears to be some sort of a pad system, which is a one-time encipherment system. And but we're not sure. Okay, I'm not a Farsi linguist. I don't know the numbers. I haven't seen the traffic explicitly. My specialty was Russian. But what I can tell you is he was transmitting on 7910, and it is a male speaking Farsi, was transmitting on 7910, and 7910 is now being jammed. So it is an Iranian bubble jammer that is doing the jamming on 7910. It appears that speaker has moved over to 7482. So that's 7.842 megahertz. Most of you, unless you have shortwave equipment, are not going to be hearing this, okay? Or you have to have a multi-band receiver. But we're going to be down 7.842 lower sideband because this is a single sideband system. So when you heterodyne a message in the AM system, you're putting a signal on top of a carrier wave, and that puts out 2 signals. One is on the upper sideband, and one's on the lower sideband. This one is actually kind of inverted. So what they do is they suppress one of those so that they can get more power to the other sideband on the carrier wave, and then you get twice the power. But they're transmitting on the lower sideband 7.482 megahertz, or as we say, 7482 kilohertz. So anyhow, here's Lee's analysis of that. Iranian jammers don't jam the signals that they're trying to activate their own terrorist cells with. Okay, so what this probably is going to be, it is probably some sort of an insurgent group who is activating their cells inside of Iran. That's Lee's opinion, okay? And the reason is because I don't think Iran would try to jam its own signals going out to its own terrorists. Whereas what we're seeing is the jamming, so therefore by what appears to be a Farsi. Now here's the bad news. 1989, the wall fell down, and we got rid of a whole bunch of our Wall & Weber A and FLR9 radio HF radio direction finding antennas. Oh gosh, we had them all over the world. We had Chickasaw, England, Elmendorf, Alaska, Augsburg, Field Station Augsburg, where I was for 6 years, Misawa, Japan, San Vito, Italy. We had a network of, I think, 9 or 11 of these HF direction finding antennas. And we could basically, bang, begin direction finding these HF transmitters. And we could see where they were, usually within a couple kilometers of where they were. But it would give us an idea whether this is actually, number one, was it where the transmitter is, and number two, where the jammer is. And that would give us a lot better insight as to what's going on. I don't think we have any more. I don't think we have any more O5Hs, which were the Morse code intercept operators. I don't think we have any more O5 deltas, which were the direction finders, HF direction finders. And I don't think we have any more O5Ks, who are non-Morse, better known as teletype intercept operators. I think all of those have gone by the wayside over the course of the last 30 years. But anyhow, we may need to bring those back. We never can tell. We'll see what happens. But anyhow, don't get alarmed over it, okay? Do I think there are terrorist cells operating inside the United States? I know there are. That's just a gut feeling. That's not something I know as a fact. That's a gut feeling. Plus, Kent, the Secretary of Homeland Security, I believe he is, told us that, Undersecretary, told us that in his opinion, there are between 10 and 30,000 terrorists operating inside the United States, ready to be activated. But I don't think this is the message that's activating them. Just give you a little bit of my analysis for what it's worth. Okay. So with that good news, let's move on to this evening. Gosh, has anybody else joined us? I think I said hi to Little on Prepper and Cats and Prepping. Tuck by V1, there we go. Can't learn Farsi, let alone Nirsi. Yeah, so there are 3 languages that as I was getting ready to retire from the Army, that for the longest time, Mandarin and Russian were the 2 that got the biggest bonuses if you re-enlisted. Like I re-enlisted 3 times and got $20,000 re-enlistment bonuses each time. Because after they send you to school for 2 years to learn a foreign language, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, they want you to stay, so they offer you incentives to stay. But anyhow, when I was retiring, that had shifted from Chinese and Russian to Farsi, Arabic, Syrian, and Arabic Egyptian. So there's 2 forms of Arabic, the Egyptian form and the Syrian. So Egyptian form is mostly spoken in Africa, and the Syrian form is mostly spoken in the Middle East. So, and then Farsi, of course, would be the old Persia or Iran. So those were the 4 big-time money makers as far as... matter of fact, gosh, they were trying to get rid of 75% of the Russian linguists when I was getting ready to leave. So they didn't want to keep me. They weren't going to offer me anything for that. Okay, let's get down to this. Number 131. No. That's the end. We want to start at 130, 127. Get all my bookmarks in here where I should be and shouldn't be. Okay. Let me see. 127's on this side. Should survivalists relocate to rural or wilderness areas? Mr. Jones makes the point that he thinks that everything. If we're talking about natural disasters, you've got just as big a chance in the outside world as you do on the inside world. And inside being urban, suburban, outside being less suburbanish, more ruralish. Okay, all of the conditions for natural disasters appear pretty much to be equal. Now, I will add to that one difference, and that is that I would say that a wildfire probably has a greater chance because there's so much vegetation around most of the rural communities that it might have a greater danger in a rural community than it would in a suburban or an urban community. Now, as soon as I say that, somebody's going to say, but what about the Christmas fire in the Palisades in Los Angeles last year, or 2 years ago, December 25th of 24. What about Kilo, Hawaii, when we had the lava burn down a lot of the city? So, we can see that there are some instances where that, as a general rule, is going to be not a valid general rule, but I would say, in my personal opinion, that the chances of having a wildfire are going to be greater if you're in urban or suburban area than in I'm sorry, let me say that again. Going to be greater in a rural or really small suburban area than they would be in a major suburban, let's say a bedroom community of a major metropolitan area or an urban area. Now, problems with people, civil unrest, rioting, just general dissatisfaction, all those kinds of things. You don't want to be in a city for that. That urban areas are going to be catastrophic. Now, here's where, and that's pretty much what he's got to say here about it. He talks about shelter in place to find out what's going on. I wholeheartedly agree with that. So here's a couple of things I want you to think about. 85% of the U.S. population resides in, let's call it, metropolitan areas. And I'm going to major metropolitan areas, and that could be something like Chicago and all of its suburbs, or New York and its suburbs, all the way out into Rhode Island, Connecticut, Long Island, New Jersey. That whole megalopolis, is going to be something else, as would San Francisco, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio. Austin is the 11th largest metropolitan area. So, I mean, you have your advantages, you have your disadvantages of each one. Before SHTF, we've talked. We almost bought a property up in Lake Belton, which is in Belton, Texas, and about an hour north of here, right on the lake. And I wanted that because of access to the lake and fishing and everything else. And it was close in Temple. They have the major Baylor Scott and White Hospital. I mean, that thing is, it's almost a city in and of itself. It's the number one employer in those two cities, Temple and Belton. And, but it's a humongous hospital system. So we use them here in Williamson County, and but just fantastic. But so everything we needed was there, and it would have been great. Would have had real quick access to Fort Hood, so I could go to the commissary, PX, and things like that. Smaller community, has its advantages, has its disadvantages. Here's what I want you to realize. 85% of the population lives in metropolitan areas. If you look around you and ask people what their number one priority is in case of an SHTF event, almost everybody's going to tell you they're bugging out. Where? To where the 15% are. Okay? So those 15% are going to have to defend themselves against what's called the golden horde, or people who are evacuating the metropolitan areas that want to go out to the rural areas because they think it's going to be safer. So with that horde coming at you in the rural area, I'm not so sure that's where I would want to be for the first year after an SHTF event. So I would probably just want to stay where I am, hunker down, do what I do. He says the shelter-in-place survival is probably greater for the long term. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I probably would only leave here under a couple of conditions, one of them being a fire, okay? And I think fires are going to be really, really something. If you have an opportunity to get a hold of any firefighting equipment, especially like the Forest Service backpack, there's a 5-gallon backpack water pump nozzle firefighting tank. If you can get a hold of one of those, get a hold of it. Because if you don't have water pressure, that's going to be how you keep your roof cool and damp, and keep the embers from any nearby fires from getting onto your home. So I would say get that. That would be my number one reason why I would evacuate my areas, would be because of fire. Okay, number 128. How should a survivalist budget and spend for survival gear and supplies? Well, number one, and this he gives an outstanding piece of advice. If it says survival on it, or preparedness or anything like that, anytime you see that written on a package, know that they have increased the price by 100% over its value, and they're selling it to you. thinking that you're going to value it as a preparedness or survival piece of gear. You can get the exact same product almost anywhere else at half that price, even though it won't be called survival or anything like that. You're going to just look for deals. Look for Army Navy stores. Look for sales at your local sporting goods stores. Heck, I walked down the aisle for Walmart in their camping and fishing stuff, and half the items on the camping and fishing aisle at Walmart were on sale, marked down at least 40%. They had all of their knives, fixed handle knives, and some folding knives marked down 60% off. They were all gone. There weren't any left. So I don't know whether it's because people are afraid or whether it's because of the sale, but those things are going. A couple good, a really good knife will do you great. A couple of less expensive knives would be fantastic. I will tell you, I have an LT Wright Genesis Scandi Grind. Best knife I've ever owned in my life. I love that knife. $235, okay? I also have a Condor bush lore. The Condor bush lore is made in El Salvador, and I paid $50 for it. There's a minor difference in the handles. My LT Wright, the handle is a little bit more rounded, more of a broomstick. The Condor is a little bit more profiled for a grip. But between the two, same steel, same Scandi grind. My Condor probably has a little bit more wear and tear on it than does my LT Wright. I have a tendency around the house, if I'm going to use it for something around the house, I'll grab the cheaper one and save my more expensive knife. That's just the way it is. But, just be aware of prices. Don't buy something just because it says survival or anything like that. Another good one. I went to Goodwill, got a 2-burner old white gas, pumped the green tank on the front, or red tank on the front. You got to pump it up and get the pressure in there for the propane to go through, or butane, or Coleman fuel, white natural gas. Going for $20, $20. The new ones that use pressurized canisters cost $150. So why not use one that you can just do a good deal with? Take a look. Go to estate sales. Go to Goodwill, barter arenas, things like that. You don't have to buy everything that says prepper on it. Okay. Number 2, he says, don't buy overpriced survival items just because of a brand name or advertising. I think we talked about that. He talks about firearms. You don't have to have the SIG or the Glock or the, you don't have to have the big name weapons. I don't have I do. I have one Glock. I have a Glock 21. But most of my weapons are not big name brands. My hunting rifles are, but the rest of it, no. Just get what will work, okay, so that you can make your money go a little bit further. And so if you get an inexpensive, let's say you get a secondhand Ruger 1022, okay, and it doesn't have the Picatinny rail on it. You can't put all the fancy lights and lasers and everything else on it that you want to put on it. Well, guess what? At some point in the future, you can afford one of those. After you've gotten everything taken care of, then you can upgrade that weapon. And when you upgrade that weapon, now you have a spare. Remember, I don't like this, but people say 2 is 1, 1 is none. So you might want to have 2 rifles in case one goes bad. So that way your secondary that you bought originally, just so you'd have something, becomes your secondary when you upgrade, okay? Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that, pushing the like button. Tuck says that his idea is to be at least 2 turns off of any main road. Absolutely. And there's a recommendation also that most people won't walk more than 2 miles. So if you can be 2 miles off of a major highway, a U.S. highway or an interstate, you're probably going to be a lot safer. Utah Mike still uses the Coleman stove I'm talking about. That's great. Tuck can't buy anymore. He's probably in the same boat that I am. My wife keeps saying, do you know how much you spent at Academy last month? Yeah, I do. So the reason I had it, Tuck, is I wanted a double stack 45 caliber. So that's why I got the Glock 21. And that's the main reason I got it. It was just I wanted a double stack. And then my police friend, well, you've seen him, Steve, writes the Stonemont series. Anyhow, he said to wear your weapon cross draw, because as you're standing, he says, if you have it over here and you're talking to somebody like this, then you've got to basically move this arm, come down, and lift your shirt up and draw, right? Whereas if you're standing like this, and you have a cross draw, you just drop your hand and pull it out. So it's a lot faster to do a cross draw, and I wanted a 45 cross draw. So that's the reason I got a Glock 21. Let me see here. Number 3. Don't be cheap on critical survival and self-reliance items such as sleeping bags, packs, knives, flashlights, firearms, binoculars, and packs. I wholeheartedly agree. Those are some of the areas you really want to get good quality if you can. I really like this new flashlight that I got, this little Wubin GS. It's a nice little flashlight, and it's USB rechargeable. What I like most about it is that it's got a red light. And so I'm really big on night security, light security at night. And so red lights are going to be part of my night security overall fashion. So, I really like that little light because it's USB rechargeable and it has a red light. Makes me happy. Now, the price didn't. It was a little bit on the expensive side, but, get in trouble for that too. Military surplus knives, packs, tents, and other items offer high quality at lower prices. We talked about that. If you have a limited budget and you're just starting to develop your survival system, compromise on quality at first so you get everything covered. Then go back and prioritize and start working on improving your quality. And that way you have a backup, okay? And you might even use your lower quality stuff first and have your higher quality stuff as a backup. You can do it either way. I do have something I want to show you. This is something that I taught a long time ago. And so, if I can find, there it is. It's a triangle, okay? And so this has 3 points: a good or high quality, a cheap, and I prefer to use the words inexpensive rather than cheap, and then fast, you can obtain it quickly, or it's readily available, okay? Just something that's, readily available. The problem is you can only pick 2 of these at any one time, okay? So when you can only pick 2 of them, if you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be that high of a quality, okay? If you want it fast and good, high quality, it's not going to be cheap. You're going to pay a pretty penny for it. If you want it good and cheap, you're probably going to have to make it yourself, and it's going to take some time to do it. So that's what this little triangle represents. The high quality, inexpensive, and readily available or fast. Now, I will tell you, I used this triangle when I replaced my bug out bag that I was using as a get-home bag. When I was the director of human resources for a electric power company up right outside of Waco, I was commuting 65, 70 miles each way every day. So I had my bug out bag that I had worked on. And this is a good example of how you upgrade over time. My first bug out bag was basically a yucca pack, which was canvas, Boy Scouts of America, the one I used when I went to Philmont Scout Ranch in 1966, on an aluminum frame, okay? When I was at Fort Huachuca in 1989, I gave that Boy Scout backpack. There was a sergeant in my office. She was a single mother, had a son. He kind of looked at me kind of like an uncle, and he wanted to go to a Boy Scout camp out. She didn't know what to do as far as equipment, so I gave him my Boy Scout backpack and frame, and gave him a good sleeping bag too. But anyhow, that meant that I had to buy a replacement for my backpack for my get home, for my bug out bag. And I went to clothing sales on post and bought an Alice pack. So I had an Alice pack, was my primary bug out bag, from 1989 until it was stolen out of the back of my car in 2015. And I constantly upgraded the contents on that. So even if you're building your own, you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to constantly be changing things out. You're going to see something you like that's lighter, better, stronger. You're going to buy it. That other thing becomes a backup that you put in a cabinet somewhere. That's just the way we are as far as preppers, okay? We're never satisfied. So that being the case, when it was stolen out of the back of my car, I wanted something. I had to go to work the next day. I wanted something just in case something happened and I had to get home, 65 miles on foot from Waco back down here. And so I said, how do I do this? So I said, well, I know I want it good and I know I want it fast. So I know it's not going to be that cheap. So I did a search online and I found this company called Echo Sigma. I ordered an Echo Sigma bug out bag, which was completely contained. And that's what I bought for my new bug out bag to replace the one I'd had for 30 years. And now, everybody's going to tell you, don't buy a pre-made kit because you're just going to have to swap stuff out. You know what? I spent 30 years swapping stuff out of the one that I made myself. I'm sorry. Get what you can, when you can, as you can. Use it, and then you're always going to be looking for a way to improve it, to make it better. And that's just the way we are. That's the way our psyche is as preppers. We're going to constantly be looking for how can we make it even better. So it doesn't matter whether you start with your own or whether you start with something that is pre-made, you're still going to start with something. And to be honest with you, if it were me and I was in my first, or I had somebody said, Lee, I'm getting ready to do a bug out bag. What should I get? I'd say, buy one just so you have one. Get an Echo Sigma. They have 3 different versions. Buy whichever one suits you. Use that as a starting point, and then upgrade it over time. If you want to upgrade the pack, upgrade the pack. If you want to get a better knife, get a better. Although they have SOG, knife, axe, and multi-tool in it, and those are fantastic pieces of equipment. So I would say be happy with those. Let me see. If you have a limited budget and you're just starting to develop, we talked about that. That's this year. So I'm going to end that. I don't want to end stream. I want to stop sharing. I ended stream last time I showed something, and I don't want to do that again. Oh, that was terrible. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the survival budget and spend for survival gear and supplies. Listen, don't run up your credit card. Don't overspend. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to make an exception to that. I have full intentions of maxing out my credit cards under one condition and one condition only. If we see widespread terrorist attacks inside the United States, and they're following the agenda that Sean Ryan and Scott Mann and Sarah Adams and Khalid Mohammed and those guys have all kind of given us, what's his name on Survival Dispatch? Chris Evans. Chris Evans talked an awful lot about it, and Jeff on his show has talked about it. And those guys, everybody's talking about it. If we see that coming across, if we see that scenario, step 1A, several cities with mass attacks. Step 1B, attacking the first responders as they respond to it. Step 1C, attacking the level 1 trauma centers. Then the end of the day, right? Then we go to day 2. We see October 7th replications, and that is attacking people in their homes. And they say that the primary targets are going to be areas with a high concentration of GWAT personnel, people who fought in the global war on terror. And then day 3, they take down the electricity. Well, guess what? Once I identify that it's following that pattern, I'm going to go max out my credit card. I am. Because if they take out the power on day 3, they're never going to charge me for it. So, I'll max out my credit card on day 3 or day 2 once it becomes apparent that it's that system. But I'm not saying for you to do that. I can do that. I have enough money to where I can pay off my max credit. But that's I'm playing some rough cards, as Annie Duke would say. I'm not playing a winning hand, but then it's the hand I'm being dealt with. Scott Hummer, Pete, Triple G Farms, welcome. Good to see you. John's Life, hello. You have a Sog Seal pup on my shoulder. Molly slap. I have mostly guard duties, so most of my gear is set up for combative roles. SOG knife is fantastic. I like it. In this pocket, I carry a what's it called? It's called a buck Revell. So my right pocket is a buck Revell, and my left pocket is an OKC rat, Ontario Knife Company rat. If I can find it, it's down there somewhere. There we go. There's a rat. Have I emptied my pockets for you guys recently? Okay, so my left pocket, I've got the Ontario rat. I've got an inhaler. I've got a rosary and my St. Benedict medal. I've got my money, paper with a money clip that I got my daughter. My daughter got me as a present at her wedding. I have used lifesaver wrappers that stick to my fingers. I have a small multi-tool from Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop, whichever you prefer. And then Frogging Company has this little combination flashlight and electric arc lighter that is USB rechargeable that I really, really like. So, you can see the electric arc, and that's really hot flame, and that'll start almost any fire. So that's what I keep, a combustion instrument, a multi-tool, a good pocket knife, and my inhaler, and my rosary and St. Benedict medal in that pocket. I only carry 2 things over in this pocket. I carry my Gerber. I've got 3 things in there today. I've got more lifesavers. And then I've got my Buck Revell and my MI Challenge coin. And that's it. That's all I keep in my right pocket. Right hip is a Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm. My left hip has an extra magazine. And that's pretty much it. That's my walk around town type stuff. Okay, so let's go to number 129. Should survivalists use social media and the internet to improve survival capacity and build survival networks? Yes and no. Share what you're comfortable sharing, okay? Don't show weapons. Don't show where you live. Don't show the outsides of your house so that people can geolocate it. Do as much as you can to not be as readily identifiable as possible. Okay, I even went to a different town to get a post office box for my mail. So do what you can to stay as clandestine as possible. Now then, if you can identify people who have the same interests as you do and can arrange for a common place to meet them, then do that. Go to a common place, have a talk, see whether or not you're that compatible. I will honestly tell you, my personal opinion is, unless you're going to come here to my place from Canada, Lomita, Lampasas, Bel, Belton Temple, someplace like that, and we've already made the agreement, and you know where I live, and you're coming here, and I've given you one of my, where is it? So what I do is for people, no, that's church. And this is number 3. So I have these little USBs, and this has got everything on it that a person needs to know to come to my house. These are the things I'm asking you to bring with you. These are the weapons I'm asking you to have. These are the rules. You know, when you come to the house, there are certain rules. We're going to have guard duties. We're going to have. We'll try to be as democratic as possible. We'll try to come to a consensus. If we can't come to consensus, my decision is the top decision. My house. You know, what kind of skills we have, who's going to do what kind of work, how we're going to work that out. The fact that we're going to be locked in here for 2 or 3 weeks together because I don't want the rest of the neighborhood knowing we're alive. So we're going to be cooking in here. We're going to be sleeping in here. We're going to be going to the bathroom in here. Not going to be pleasant. Bring lots of air deodorizer, freshener. You know, we're going to have to do all kinds of things to adjust. We're going to get on each other's nerves. I'm sorry, that's human nature. We are going to get on each other's nerves. So deal with it. Make plans now that you're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, and you're going to have to make some concessions in order to survive. It's not going to always go your way. You're not going to love the other people that you're with. You know, fish after 3 days stink, so do neighbors. We're going to be in here for 3 weeks. Imagine the relationships, okay? So start thinking about that. Start practicing that. Start thinking of some scenarios and talk those among your group. Now, are you going to have that kind of a tight-knit group if you're getting somebody on the internet who lives 5 miles away? Probably not. What you can do, and this is where I think the internet is really, really valuable. I have some ideas. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not. You have some ideas. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not. We share those ideas and we constantly improve each other. Proverbs 27:17. Let me get my Bible. I hope I have the right number here. Let's get back here to Proverbs 27:17. Proverbs 27:17. As iron is sharpened by iron, so one person sharpens another. So the way that Albert Einstein said it was that your knowledge, your abilities are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. So if you're spending 5, if your circle of friends are turkeys, you're a turkey. If your circle of friends are eagles, you're going to be an eagle, okay? So choose who you associate with wisely. And are you going to find that on the internet? Now, we've been very lucky here. I think we got a very good, widely dispersed group of people here who have some superior ideas and who get along and who help each other, which is what we're trying to do. If you can get some ideas so that you can establish your neighborhood, that circle of people around you, you know, my next door neighbor here, the guy across the street over here, this lady over here, you know, unfortunately she's single with a disabled son. But I mean, she's part of the group, you know, so how are we going to get all these people in here and coordinate that and be able to get along? It's a lot easier when you live closer together. It's a little bit more difficult when you're more disunited, you know, spread out. But, you know, you can always find a way to accommodate that. You know what I say? There's always advantages and disadvantages. And so, you know, you never can tell. Maybe one of my neighbors that's in my group might be upset with me because of the way I back into my driveway. You know, I don't know. There could be a lot of reasons. Okay. Where are we time-wise? 40 minutes. Number 130. How can a survivalist prepare to survive an extended time frame? I think this is the most challenging question I've read in the book. And let me tell you why. I think there's 2 things, and if you go back to the National Geographic television series. Oh my gosh, I lost my. Well, that's a different book, thank God. I saw one of my magnetic bookmarks laying on my desk, and I thought, oh, I lost my bookmark, but I didn't. It's from a different book I just finished. But if you go back to the National Geographic series, Doomsday Preppers, how did they start each show? This is so-and-so, and they are preparing for. All too often, we as preppers, when we have a discussion around preparedness, two things that we leave out of the discussion that we assume. And when we assume it, it's a bad assumption. Is number one, what we're prepping for. How we prepare for financial collapse is totally different than how we prepare for nuclear war. Okay, so you're going to have different things. You know, for financial collapse, you might want to have cash on hand. You might want to have great barter items and things like that. For nuclear warfare, you might prioritize, let's say, Geiger counter and a mirror safety mask and things like that. So you're going to have 80% of it's going to be the same, but that 20% you're going to specialize in depending upon the scenario you're planning on. Mistake number 2 in our conversations is we don't talk about where we are in the timeline. Everybody assumes that from day 1 until day or year 9999 plus is going to be the same, and there's not going to be any improvements. There's not going to be any social infrastructure reestablishing. There's not going to be any, I think that people oversimplify barter as well. Somehow or other we've got this in our minds that if I have 5 extra Bic lighters, that I can get whatever I want out there. That I'm just going to haphazardly walk across somebody who happens to have a 30-day regimen of doxycycline, and they're going to be so happy to have my Bic lighters that they're going to give me 30 days worth of doxycycline for it. It isn't going to happen that way. It's going to be, I know a person who knows a person who knows a person who knows a person who has. Well, what do they want for it? Well, they want this. Well, I don't have that. So now I've got to go look for what they want. Oh, well, I know this guy has it, but he doesn't want what I have for what he has. He wants something else. Now you got to go find what he wants. So then I have this complex weave of, I can get from this guy some coffee because this guy wants coffee in exchange for his 45 ammo. And that 45 ammo is going to go to this guy over here who has chickens. And the chickens is going to go to this guy over here who wants chickens so that he'll give me his fancy name brand whiskey. Okay? And the fancy name brand whiskey is what the guy with the doxycycline wants. That's more realistic around what barter is going to be like. It's not going to be a simple transaction. It's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. I just saw somebody come in. Holly Ivans, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. So I think that, that's the number one thing. We need to get on the same sheet of music when we talk about prepping. I am prepping for, name the scenario you're prepping for. And number 2, at this point in the timeline, I think this is going to be worth or have value. Now, Selko Begovic, in his story, talks about his 1 year in Hades, the Bosnian conflict, and he talks about what had value, when it had value, okay? And amazingly, candles had very high value at the beginning, but as light flickered, people's eyes adjusted to the dark, and candles weren't as important 6 months into the conflict as they were for the first 2 months, okay? So things have a variable value depending upon where you are in the timeline of the overall disaster, let's call it. So I think we need to make sure we're clear on that. And so when we say an extended period, I'm thinking 3 to 5 years, okay? So when we start talking 3 to 5 years, he's talking about, Mr. Jones is talking about food processing and distribution systems are so complex and vulnerable. A simple cyber attack is going to take them down. Fuel prices, they're going up right now. Farmers have to have diesel to run their tractors to get the crops out. They have to have, you have to have diesel to get the cattle from the ranch to the processing center, then to the distribution center, then to the different markets. And so all that is dependent upon fuel prices. And then you've got electricity. And we still have a lot of electrical production plants that run on petrochemicals. So the price of everything is going up. And as the price of everything goes up, commodities are not going to be able to afford as much as you did in the past. There's going to be food shortages in the near future. If we don't get the gasoline prices and petrochemical prices under control in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have problems. Here's another thing I predict. If we take a look at China, China had two sources of fuel, oil, and that was Venezuela and Iran. Iran has shut down the Straits of Hormuz. They're not shipping anything. Nobody's shipping anything. And then we shut down Venezuela. China doesn't have any fuel coming into its country. So I'm going to say that probably sometime in the next week, China's going to get desperate. They need some fuel. And China right now, fuel-wise, resource-wise, is exactly the same that Japan was in 1939. So beware of that. Then bullet number 2 is disruption of fuel supplies. We covered that just now. Plus, a lot of the petrochemicals are used to make fertilizers. So any disruption of available labor because of a pandemic, civil disorder, a draft, anything like that, that's going to cause problems as well. We don't have as much population devoted to food production as we did during the Great Depression back in the 1930s. Okay, and we suffered dramatically as a result of that. So we don't have the experience, we don't have the expertise. You know, it's been, the mom and pop farms are basically gone. It's all conglomerates now, and so that institutional knowledge that we had has eroded. It's gone. Terrorists could randomly poison foods, water supplies, all that kinds of stuff, any kind of an NBCR or CBRN. I'm still used to NBC, I'm sorry. I guess they changed that because of the television company. But we used to call it nuclear, biological, and chemical, NBC. Now it's called CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. But any kind of those threats are going to have a really large impact on our food distribution system. Extremely cold weather conditions, like we saw here in the greater Austin metropolitan area in 2021, and then again in 2023. We had what we called Ice-mageddon or Snow-mageddon. We don't have any snow clearing equipment here. I mean, if we get a dust of snow and it melts off by noon, everything shuts down. That's just, this far south, we don't have snow. Our infrastructure is just barely below the surface of the earth. Maybe 6 feet, not 6 feet, 6 inches. Whereas, you know, up north, you've got places like Missouri, they get it 3 to 5 feet down underneath the ground. We're 6 inches to a foot. You know, we don't have that much. We don't have that much topsoil here. This is mostly shale that we're on top of. And so, you know, so it's kind of difficult to dig. You definitely need some rock crushers to get down in some of the soil here. So famine is a major issue in many parts of the world, and you know, it looks like that could be spreading. Okay, the last one for the evening, number 131. What can I do to prevent or survive a carjacking? Number 1, be aware of what the threat is. The most common threat of a carjacking is going to be, Tammy, good evening, welcome. The number 1 vehicle used to kidnap people or for sex trafficking, human trafficking, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a windowless van. So if you see a windowless van pull up next to you, especially with that sliding door in the vicinity or facing you, turn around and walk the other way. Know the symptoms, know what they use so that you can avoid being put in any kind of position for that right now. There's 2 things that are going on right now that you need to be aware of. Number 1, there is this thing that they're targeting women, especially women who have been shopping and have grocery bags, okay, that are loading them into their car. So what they'll do is you unlock your car before you get there, which is a mistake. Only unlock it when you're right there at it. Mr. Jones talks about this. Then get into your car, get your groceries into it. If you can have somebody walk out with you, that's all the better, especially a male. Then you want to put it into your car, start your engine, and leave. Now, what they're doing right now is two things. Number one, they are kind of booby trapping the handle so that when you pull on it to open your door, you either cut yourself or you have some sort of a chemical agent that affects you. Beware of that. The second thing that's becoming very, very common right now is that they will raise your windshield wiper on the driver's side up so that it's not in contact with your windshield. You get in you don't notice it, you don't look, you don't do an inspection of your car before you get into it. You get into your car, you start it, crying out loud, who would have done that? And you leave the engine running, you open the door, you reach out to pull it down, bang, you're gone. And they've got your car too, okay? So beware of those two. If you have the opportunity to have somebody walk out with you into the parking lot, especially if it's dark, always park underneath a bright light. Do not go to dark places. If there's a light and it's a little bit further walk than there is up close, whether it's dark, take the light over the proximity, okay? If anybody's flagging you down driving, especially at night, do not stop. Call 911, let them know that somebody needs assistance. Do not stop for them. Don't be a good Samaritan. That will cost you. The only people you stop for at night are bona fide, identified law enforcement. And if it's a law enforcement officer in uniform who's flagging you down, one of the things you can always do is call 911 and ask the dispatcher whether or not that is a valid stop. Same thing. If you are suspicious as to whether or not the car behind you is stopping you is a legal stop, or, well, not a legal stop, is a bona fide law enforcement officer, dial 911 and say, hey, I am on this street. There's a car behind me. I think it appears to be law enforcement. Is it? Or, should I pull over? And they will tell you whether or not there's a car in the vicinity, whether or not it's stopping you. And just be cautious, okay? If someone points a gun at you while sitting at a stoplight, I'm reading this from the book right now, you have three options. Drive through the intersection, just keep on going. Say okay and slide out the passenger side and run, leaving them with a running car, or turn the vehicle off, get out, throw the keys in the opposite direction of where you're going to run, and run away as fast as you can. Now, there was a guy who just recently pled guilty here in the greater Austin area. He got, evidently, there were two automobiles at a stoplight. They rolled their windows down. It didn't appear to be an altercation, but they were yelling at each other through the windows. And so the one guy started pulling off. And as he was pulling off, he just pulled out a gun and reached out this way and started shooting at the pickup that was to his left. It didn't hit anybody, but he shot off like 6 or 9 rounds. And just imagine, he could have killed an innocent bystander. But nobody was injured. But anyhow, he was just recently convicted of discharging a firearm in attempted murder. So, and that was happened in Austin, I think, on Friday. But, beware. People are really crazy nowadays, especially drivers. Don't flip anybody off. Don't express any anger. Don't honk your horn. If somebody cuts you off, just slow down, back off, let them do it. Okay? It's not worth your life to express anger over other people's stupid driving techniques. Okay? Stay alive. That's the number one thing. Everything we're talking about, our number one goal is to make it through it. And if you're going to get into a confrontation with somebody over them cutting you off, you're not going to make it through it. Because chances are they're a bully. They have something with them, whether it's a weapon, a tool, whatever, that you don't, you're going to suffer. Okay. Now, in my car, or actually in my pickup, I should say, in my pickup, I carry two things, okay? One thing I carry is a tire thumper. So strange thing is, a tire thumper, to check your air pressure in your tires, you thump, 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 it's what truckers use. just almost exactly looks like an old military police nightstick. Okay, so if you were trained in how to use a nightstick, that's a fantastic thing. Because my fighting cane is to my left side, I put it underneath my between the door and my seat, and then the point or the end goes down towards the brake pedal area. So I carry my cane on the left side. I just can't pull that up and use it in a confined situation. So that tire thumper sitting next between the console and my seat works perfect. Okay, and I can use it to push, not just to swing, but to push. The second thing is right next to, I've got my steering wheel, right? So I've got this little change thing down here. This little change thing down here has some tear gas. Okay, so that tear gas spray, if somebody's at my window, I can roll my window down, spray them, and then get the heck out of there. You don't want to stick around to see whether or not it worked. Just spray them and leave. And so carry tear gas with you. That's a great thing to have. If for any reason they follow you, call 911, tell them where you are, tell them where you're going. Stay in as public a place as possible. Don't go in any kind of residential streets or anything like that. Don't go home. They'll follow you home. The best place to go to would be to a police station or to a fire department. Okay? Honk your horn as you're approaching the police station and the fire department. The next best place after that is going to be someplace like a 7-Eleven or a Circle K or one of those other kinds of convenience stores. And then just lay on your horn as you're approaching. Get all the attention you can towards yourself and towards your potential aggressor so that they don't want to make a scene and have everybody else see what they're doing. Okay? That's the best thing I can say for you. So with that, let me see if I can catch up on your great comments here. Higgy Homestead, good evening. Good to see you. My husband had a shillelagh. However, I was able to read it, so you did okay. It was a handle wrapped in tape, and he had a huge piece of wire, like from your service to your panel. Yeah, absolutely. I prefer an old pick handle with the head somewhere close, I think. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about this for just a second. If you want a defensive baseball bat in the trunk of your car, do it. But make sure you carry a glove and the baseball with you, okay? Because if you have only a baseball bat, then a good prosecutor can make the point that you had that there as a weapon and not as a sporting item. If you have a glove and you have a ball with it, then it appears that you have it in your trunk as a sporting goods item, okay? I didn't say that I had a police baton. I said I had a tire thumper. So if somebody was saying, what is that? I say, it's a tire thumper. Check my tire pressure, okay? That now looks like a legitimate tool for my vehicle. Everything there except for what I have on my hip and my pocket knives in my pockets. Oh, I have a pocket knife there in that same tray that I keep my pepper spray. I have another pocket knife, but it has one of those glass breaker things on it, so that when it's closed, I can use it if in an emergency to break the windows on the driver side or passenger side. And it also has a seatbelt cutter on it so that I can get out of my seatbelt if I need to. But anyhow, what I'm telling you is, with the exception of the tear gas, anything else you have in your car, make sure that you have something else. I'm sorry, gas. Make sure you have something else with you that identifies it as a sporting item and not as a weapon. Okay? So just think, if I'm going to carry this, what makes that look like a commonplace, regular item, sporting item, or whatever that a person would have in their car, and not necessarily as a weapon. Okay? So I'll leave you with that. We're right at 59 and a half minutes. And let me see. Theophilus says, exactly, I'm 7 weeks into my husband passing. I understand. I am here for you and love you. Oh, wow, I'm sorry. So, oh gosh, has something happened to Holly? Let me go up here. Okay. Shenanigans, we're sorry too for, gosh, that's tough. We have one of the guys in our church, his wife is my partner when we do home visits, because I'm a member of St. Vincent de Paul, and we go help people with bills that they can't pay and stuff like that. And but his mother passed away, about a month ago. And yeah, that's tough. Losing a loved one is just, golly, it rips a part of your heart out of your body. It's very difficult to deal with. And if there's anything I can do to help you, morally, emotionally, mentally, just let us know. We're here for you. Gosh, I'll add you to my prayer list. Do me a favor. If you would, send me an email, coldwarprepper@outlook.com. Tell me his name, and I will make sure he's included in the book of prayers at church. And so we'll take care of that for you. Okay, so let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. And it says, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. So thank you all for being here. I can't tell you what you mean to me. I mean, just the best group on earth. I wish we were closer. I wish a lot of you were here so that we could just be together. And that's what I need to talk to you about, Pete. I'm sorry. The other day, I asked him to give me a call. He did, and I was really, really busy when he did. And that's terrible of me, because I know with your work, you are a far busier person than I am. I apologize for that. We will have to get together here in the near future. And but I do want to take you, especially with me, to the Bell County Preparedness Group meeting coming up the third Saturday in March. So we'll do that together. Okay, so remember, we're all in this together. Holly still, it's tough. It's definitely a big change in your life. And I know that there's some relief in the fact that there's no more pain and there's no more suffering. And I know you can be relieved that challenge has been removed from him. But at the same time, there's, gosh, I don't know where I'd be without Helen. And so we'll just pray. Okay. Well, that's all I can do is wish that you be totally surrounded by God's love, that he wrap you in his arms and give you the strength, the courage, the support that you need at the time you need it. And I'm convinced that can happen. Okay. Thanks everybody for being here. Remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please, gosh, and you guys are such great examples of this. Continue to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. Love one another is what Jesus told us. Remember, he only gave us 2 new commandments. Okay, he didn't come to abandon the law. He came to fulfill the law and to give us 2 new commandments. Number 1, which is basically the first 3 commandments, to honor God, and this is also called the Shema in Hebrew. But it's to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then the second one is to love your neighbor as yourself. So those are the 2 commandments. Both of them have the word love in them. So make sure you take care of each other. We continue to take care of each other. And if you do that, we'll all get through this together. Take care, everybody. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, this coming Saturday is our panel discussion on another one of the conflicted cards. And we've got a new person. We're going to have Hudson Valley Prepping is going to be joining us. So we'll have 4 people on this week. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.